Wow, I haven't seen you guys in a year. Ha ha ha. Okay, funny joke. But I don't think you guys will stand this video. Expect more bad puns out of this video. Today we're going to talk about what would happen if, understand this idea, what if stands never existed? Uh, by the way, count how many stand jokes, please. You could do a drinking game if you want, but I plan to do a lot. I don't want to kill any of my audience, so don't do a drinking game. Just count, please. Please count it out. Don't do a drinking game. I plan to do a lot of stand jokes. I don't want to be the main reason a member of my audience is dead. So, without that, let's start standing into this video and talk about what if stands didn't exist. So, the first part we gotta talk about is where stands were introduced, part 3. What happened? Who's gonna stand a chance in this part? Uh, in the original Lee got a stand because of the arrow. Without the arrows, then Dio doesn't get a stand, and because of that, no other one other than the Joestar family gets a stand. This means Jotaro is not going to think he has an evil spirit, and that all means Joseph probably doesn't look for Jotaro. Jotaro doesn't put himself in jail. That would change a lot of the story. Holly's life is still the same, by the way, if you're wondering. And as for other changes, Joseph would probably find Avdol and would probably still get Jotaro because he's our main character. We need him. So yeah, there's that. They could probably still bump into Kakyoin. I don't think he would be a vampire. I don't think he would. Same with Polnareff. And I still think they could be found. Iggy would not join the team because Iggy's a dog, not a hormone user. And I don't think they're going to teach a dog hormone. And I don't even think a dog can learn hormone. So Iggy's not going to be here, meaning he survives. So Iggy gets a happy ending in this timeline. Hooray. But how does the story change? Who's going to stand a chance against Dio? Another stand joke. Lol. Uh, let's talk about some of the fights, and that it would probably be vampires or zombies they're fighting. Hamon just kills them, and plus a lot of the fights happen more in the morning. Not really many happen in like the night or evening. It was all in the morning, meaning the sun was out, and vampires die because of sunlight. That was pretty easy. What would change with the other arcs? Well, if we're going with the other arcs of the story, then the next arcs would be like Vanilla Ice and Dio. Like, those are the big main arcs, and I'm going to probably only talk about those arcs. I don't think this video... I have a feeling this video might be long, but it might not be long. I'm just going to play it by ear and see how the video is going to go. So, we'll talk about Ice first. How would he go as a villain? Well, Avdol's dying. He still could die. Like, it's possible he still dies. But however, it would have to work some other way. Polnareff and Avdol together, like, I feel like how it would work is Polnareff is just super good with his sword and super fast with his hormone. Avdol has always had hormone since the beginning of the story, so I would assume that means Avdol and Polnareff team up together on Ice, and Ice either is able to kill one of them or they're both able to kill him. Since it's 2v1, and I say Avdol and Polnareff have better teamwork skills than Polnareff and Iggy, and since Ice doesn't have a stand, and Avdol's probably experienced with hormone in this, and Polnareff is really good with hormone in this, Ice is killed with no casualties. As for Dio, fighting Dio, they would probably be able to kill him instantly. Kakyoin, Jotaro, and Joseph could also show up, and I don't think none of the Crusaders will die, with probably the exception of either one of them probably Joseph. Joseph would probably end up actually dying because of this, because there's no Star Platinum to do the heart thing. Uh, High Dio could happen, which means that the group might actually die. But then again, I think the group could still probably weaken him down. And because of that, the only casualty would be Joseph, because the heart pump thing. I think Kakuin would still survive. I mean, in this timeline, he'd actually survive because there's no time stop, meaning he doesn't become a donut. So, all the Crusaders has kind of got a different surviving cast, with Joseph being the only death. We now go into Diamond is Unbreakable. What will be standable in this one? I don't even think standable is a real word. I just probably made up something just so I can have a stand joke. Back to the point. Joseph is dead, and even if he was still alive, there'd be no Hermit Purple, meaning they don't find out about Josuke, and Josuke just lives a normal life. They never meet Angelo, because Angelo does not meet Keicho, because stands do not exist, meaning the arrows do not exist, meaning that Angelo's going to be killed. He's going to get executed. And Josuke would probably just be living a normal teenage life. He'll probably bump into Koichi, maybe, and then Josuke and Koichi can probably still be friends. Okuyasu maybe can be friends, but that's debatable. As for Kira, this is interesting. Maybe Josuke can help look for Kira. I could say Jotaro. Maybe Kakuin and Abdul could also help look for Kira. I could see those three kind of helping each other together. Paul wouldn't be there because of Italy. And maybe Iggy can actually make an appearance here instead, and instead be like some kind of sniffer. Kind of sniffing Kira's trace. Like how dogs do. Kira would probably not be able to stand on his own against them. Stand on his own. And yeah, because of Hamon, Kira's not standing a chance. Standing a chance, ha ha ha. Oh my goodness, I'm just shooting myself in the foot at this point with all these jokes. Either way, I'm gonna keep doing this because I'm unfunny and I want to make someone funny. I'm gonna make these funny because I'm unfunny. That's the joke. Okay? Either way, we kind of have the same real deal here, and that we just have the Crusaders, basically with Hamon, destroying Kira, who has no fighting abilities whatsoever. He wouldn't have any vampire powers because Kira would never find a stone mask. He's got no Hamon experience. Unless Araki makes up some new ability idea-wise, like, which she could maybe make up something new, so at least the characters can fight in a new unique styling. There's the story's just kind of there. Like, fights like that, I don't know. You can make it a mental series, instead focus it something similar to Death Note. And it'd probably be Kira as Light and Rohan as L, which is kind of how it would most likely be. It's kind of already that way to begin with. Do they beat Kira? Yeah. In fact, I think Josuke and Koichi could have learned Hamon. I don't know about Okuyasu joining the team. That's debatable. I mean, Okuyasu's dad is still going to be turned into an ugly monster. It might have vampiric abilities now. It's possible that Keicho could be a vampire if you want to go with that route as a villain, but we're probably not going to go that route. And the story would be, just there. That's kind of how it would change. It wouldn't really be a battle series, instead be a mental series. But however, whenever someone does meet Kira, chances are Kira is going to be obliterated in battle because everyone knows Hamon. Now we're going into part 5, which is interesting, as this is the first part that would not have Hamon in battle. So like the first the first two parts had Hamon. The third part and fourth part would have Hamon because Jotaro has Hamon in part 3, also the Crusaders are being taught Hamon. The fourth part, you still have the Crusaders have Hamon, and plus Josuke, maybe with Koichi being taught Hamon and all that. In part 5, no one's going to be taught Hamon, unless Koichi teaches Jarno a breathing trick or two. I also think Avdol could still be there. It might be like how my original part 5 went, but it'd be with Josuke and Koichi. When it comes to the Mafia, it would be more traditional Mafia. Bruno and Jarno would get into an actual fist fight instead, which would be pretty funny. Instead, Jarno would probably actually get destroyed if that's the case. I don't really know if Jarno has any hand-to-hand combat experience. I don't think we've ever seen him throw any fists in the story. We see him rely on gold experience. Most of the characters had weapons, and we've seen characters carry on around with knives and stuff. Mista has a gun. That's kind of how it would go. Either the characters are like doing close combat, or they're like using weapons. Fights, like, I don't know, fights that have stands in it, like for example, Man in the Mirror, would be very weird. Same with Babyhead, and like how those fights would go is kind of confusing. Maybe Maloney's a sniper, same with Illusio. Risotto's fighting style would be unique, though, I gotta admit. As for everything else, Diavolo, he's basically, I don't know how you would kind of describe him now at this timeline. He's probably this maybe mega gun owner. Like, you know, he'd have so many guns, it's unreal. Instead of having King Crimson, he has the most powerful guns you can think of. And Bruno wouldn't be brought back to life if he does have to fight Diavolo and his massive amount of machine guns or something. I don't know. It's weird at this point. Hamon could be there still, and if there's Hamon, the team's going to be taught it, and that'd just make the part easier. They'll meet Polnareff. As for how Polnareff, I just think Polnareff would probably just have a load of machine guns on him, and that's what he gives the team. They instead just grab machine guns and then just smite Diavolo where he stands. Where he stands, pun a joke for stands. And he's just like, just being machine gunned. That's how it would go. Realistically, Polnareff owns like these crazy amount of machine guns, and he's gonna machine gun a Diavolo with Bucciarati's team and whoever's there. This is the I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Without stands, Diavolo is gonna be machine gunned. That's probably the only way Part 5 can end now. Abakio still dies though, so he's just gonna be sniped instead or something. Narancho wouldn't die, same with Bucciarati. I mean, Bruno maybe. Bruno would probably just own the Mafia at that point. Naranjo and Bruno would actually still be alive, if you're wondering. Because Rolling Stone does not exist, because stands do not exist. Before you say fate or something, I mean, yeah, got fate, but like, still, stands don't exist. So in the long term, I still think Naranjo and Bruno are still alive. Abakio would probably still die, though. Yeah, 5 ends with like a few casualties. Depends on how many you see happening. Now we can go into part 6, which I'm gonna say something before it happens. There would be no universe reset because, well, stands are the reason it happened. Unless Heaven has some kind of, unless like Pucci has some type of thing with Heaven, and like to a point where he can reset the universe still. I don't think stands are gonna, like, I don't think the universe reset would happen. What would Pucci's new goals, like, to get that, to that point? I mean, we would need to give him powers. Jolene would have Hamon, probably. Jotaro would probably teach her as much Hamon as she can. We can go with the idea of Kakyoin still having a kid, like in my other videos that I mentioned with Kakyoin alive. At that point, that can be Jolene's Hamon teacher. Maybe another character can return to teach her Hamon. that's kind of the deal with it. People would be getting taught Hamon because of this, in my honest opinion. So yeah, it'd be pretty unique. I'd say the group would probably consist of Jolene, Hermes, and Anasui, and also Emporio. As for why no Foo Fighters and Weather Report, Foo Fighters first. Since stands don't exist, Foo Fighters doesn't exist. Because she's a stand plankton possessing a dead girl. Now, as for why Weather Report doesn't exist, because there's no stands, Weather Report's going to probably be killed when he does die. And even if he does survive that, Poochie probably kills him. Instead, Poochie would hide the evidence about Weather Report's death. And now fighting Poochie, how do they do? Well, I mean, how can you make the story go at that point? I mean, Jotaro's disc thing, that I don't really know how that can find a way. I mean, Jotaro probably has read the book to heaven, and if that's the case, then since there's no stands, Poochie cannot obtain heaven unless Poochie kidnaps Jotaro and just kind of holds him hostage. Maybe Jolene goes to save the day. Poochie and Jolene fight. Poochie leaves Jolene about to die. Jotaro reveals the plans to heaven, and then Poochie spares Jolene. He might actually kill her, but then again, Jotaro probably would die either in her spot or almost die in her spot. And then you can kind of go with the rest of part 6. However, as for the fight wise, heaven powers to a non-stand user, I don't really know how that would work. Like, realistically, I don't have an idea how that can possibly work. Just my opinion on it. Is there a possibility, like, okay, to like the super JoJo fans, like I'm a super JoJo fan, but not a super duper. The super duper JoJo fans, without stands, how, what would heaven be like over heavens or stuff like that? Like, let's say if Phantom Blood Dio obtained heaven, what would it be? So, what would a standless Poochie's heaven be? And I also think Poochie would probably be a vampire because we need to give him a power. Because if we don't give him a power, he's off the bat killed. But then again, you can kind of rely on a story where Poochie's relying mostly on brain. He never really used fighting in his battles. Like, whenever we seen Poochie, it was barely any fighting. He was mostly manipulating other people to do his battles. So at that point, you could just say Poochie isn't fighting and just instead like, kind of manipulating people to get to his way, using his brain to overpower everyone over his bronze, is a unique kind of case scenario. Uh, that's really all I can think of for this. Uh, yeah, I think the video's done. If I could think of something else to add to this standing ovation. I mean, I should get a standing ovation here. Yeah, I keep doing stand puns. What's wrong with me? What's my life become? Yeah, another video chalked down the list. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, I just realized it was pause and I was just talking for no reason. So whatever I was saying there, yeah. Uh, fun fact, my birthday's gonna be in 2 weeks. Just wanted to tell you that. So, yeah. I have a very special video planned for it. And it was a video I've kind of foreshadowed. Like, when I mean foreshadowed, first video foreshadow. So, plan to see something unique. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye. Man, I need a standing ovation after that video.